Hi everyone, I'm Shelly and you're watching There's No Place Like Home. Today I'm back finally for another video. I know I haven't been doing that many lately. Things have been crazy here and they're going to continue to be for at least the next couple of weeks. My husband is on vacation next week and we have some appointments this week. So next week, I'm not sure. It's kind of up in the air as to how many videos I'm going to be able to put out because we do have some day trips planned, which I'm really excited about. But anyway, and I also have to just add that you will likely see, I think, 2 flies flying around here because I made the mistake of trying to get some fresh air in the house this morning. And now I had these flies come in and they really like my lights here and they keep buzzing around my head and it's really annoying. But anyway, today I just wanted to talk to you about why you need to stop worrying about socialization. Seriously. Socialization is one of those arguments that people use against homeschooling that is decades old. You would think, though, that with everything that has happened over the past 2 years that people would see a different view. But a lot of people don't, and I think it's just because it's so ingrained in us that there's only one way for children to socialize, and that's in school. And unfortunately, it's holding a lot of parents back who know that they don't want their kids in the school setting. You know, we have these mask mandates going on, which really, what does that do for socialization? Especially when kids are told that they're not supposed to be, you know, within 6 feet of each other. That's not much for socialization. But then on top of that, we have so much of the other stuff being taught in schools that so many parents really don't agree with. And I could go on and on with all of the really uncomfortable situations that are happening in school right now, but I wanted to tackle the socialization one. Now, I could just go on and on in this video touting all of the ways that your homeschooled kids can socialize, because I'm going to say it again, honest. Homeschooled children don't need school to make friends. They really don't. There are other places for your children to make friends, but that really isn't the gist of this conversation. The gist of this is that you need to look at socialization completely differently than how you already are. So I'm even going to start out with saying, how many times do you remember being in school yourself when you were a child, when you were talking to a friend who was sitting next to you, and your teacher said to you, "You are not here to socialize." School is not supposed to be about socialization, but for some reason that's the argument that comes up all the time, especially for teachers. Some teachers will even say, "Oh, well, school students, they need that socialization." You're telling them that they're not there to socialize, so it's one or the other. So keep that in mind as I talk about some of the things that I bring up today. Now, I really have to point out that some parents might know this, a lot of them don't, that before compulsory schooling, the concept of socialization was unheard of. You never heard of children having to absolutely have other children around them who are the same age as them, or else they would not grow up properly. The concept of socialization was invented. It was created when compulsory schooling was. When those age-segregated classrooms came in, they needed a way to answer for why it was okay to take kids out of their homes all day, out of their communities all day, every week, for how many months out of the year. That is when the whole socialization argument came in, because they had those age-segregated classrooms and they started to put it into people's heads that their children will not grow up properly if they're not filled in a class with a bunch of other kids who live in the same neighborhood as them, who are all around the same age as them. Remember that. Socialization is really a social engineering feat. Anyway, now I want you to think about this. Why do you think it's a good idea for kids to learn how to act from other children? Because that's really the argument that a lot of people have. Well, how is your child going to know how to act around others if they're not around other kids? I don't know about you, but I don't want my kids learning how to act from other kids their age. We as their parents, we as the adults around them who love them, we should be the ones guiding them and modeling for them behavior. They shouldn't be learning it from other children. It's the blind leading the blind. I just picture a Lord of the Flies scenario. It's never a good idea to completely entrust the way that your children act to other children. Think about school. Do you remember the cliques? Do you remember how all of the kids, the kids who were in band, they were the band geeks, or in my school they called them bandos. And then of course you had the football players and the cheerleaders, and they were the popular ones. And then you might have had the kids who liked doing theater, and they were either considered flaky or drama geeks. But this categorization still goes on in school nowadays. And one of the beauties that I have seen with my own children is that my kids don't look at other children that way. They don't categorize because they have never seen the categorization modeled. They like people for who they genuinely are, not for what they do while they are in school. I also have to point out that you don't know who your kids are associating with while they're in school. I mean, yes, there are some good kids in public schools. I know one in particular that my daughter is friends with is a very godly, respectful young man, and yes, he goes to public schools. So I'm not saying that there are not kids in schools like that. However, I hate to say it, but there are even more who are not like that. And the fact remains that you don't know which of those children, your kids, are choosing to spend time with while they are in school. And the teachers, they can't oversee each and every child and every single interaction that they're having. And really, it's not the teacher's job. It's your job as the parent to know who your kids are interacting with. And you really can't do that if your kids are in a school setting. I keep thinking of the proverb, bad company corrupts good morals. I have to reiterate, I love kids. But I also know that a lot of kids make bad decisions. And if you expect your children to be trained by those other children who are making bad decisions, aren't your kids going to start making bad decisions too if they don't have that proper model of behavior? And lastly, I just want to point out that true socialization isn't just kids your own children's ages. They need to learn how to interact with everyone, people of all ages from all walks of life. They are going to learn that better when they are out in the community with you, not inside a schoolroom all day, or at least a school building all day, where they are age segregated, where they are usually segregated by neighborhoods, or even by how well they did in school. When I was in high school, I don't know if they still do it nowadays, everything was in sections. So I was basically with the same group of kids all day long, except for maybe one or two electives, and it really didn't matter because we weren't there to socialize anyway, right? So if you're thinking about taking your kids out of school and are really worrying about the socialization aspect, I just want to implore you to rethink that, because socialization is not what you think it is. It's not as important as you think it is, and your child's future, that is far more important than what other kids they're hanging out with when they are not around you. That's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one either here or over on Instagram. And if you like my work and would like to check out my Patreon page, I will leave a link in the description box for that as well. And I hope you have a great day.